Psalm 124, the theme, preservation. Listen to these words. If it had not been the Lord who was on our side, now may Israel say, if it had not been the Lord who was on our side when men rose up against us, then they had swallowed us up alive when their wrath was kindled against us. Then the waters had overwhelmed us, the stream had gone over our soul. Then the proud waters had gone over our soul. Blessed be the Lord, who hath not given us as a prey to their teeth. Our soul is escaped like a bird out of the snare of the fowler. The snare is broken, and we are escaped. Our help is in the name of the Lord, who made heaven and earth. Sublime words. Jews have been miraculously preserved through the centuries. Against all the odds, and miracles will preserve them through Jacob's trouble. Make no mistake about that. The world will see miracles like they've never seen before, not least of all the clouds parting and the Messiah coming to their rescue with the armies of heaven behind him. Israel was sustained through 40 years of wandering through an inhospitable wilderness of snakes and scorpions, eating a miracle every morning for breakfast called manna. It was a miracle of survival, but just one amongst many. 4,000 years of practically non-stop persecution, often from the greatest powers of their day, such as Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Rome. Over 200 years of slavery, when their babies were thrown to the crocodiles in the Nile. Think about that. The subtle dangers of assimilation into the rich culture of Babylon, and then the genocide and expulsion from their homeland by the Romans. 2,000 years of pogroms and expulsions culminating in the Holocaust that murdered 1/3 of their nation, 6 million people. There are a mere 15 million Jews in the world today, still a million short of their number before the Holocaust in 1939. Demographer Professor Sergio Della Pergola estimated that 19 million Jews are missing. Think of that. The 6 million, you see, would have had families to the third generation by now, producing at least 15 million Jews. But really, untold millions are missing because Satan and human beings have been killing Jews for 3,500 years. And the amazing thing is, they are still here. For 2,000 years, they have had no land to call their own, no common language that would unite them. Any other people on earth would have long ceased to be recognizable, having blended in with whatever nation they lived in. The Irish go to America, they become Americans, but believing Jews remain Jews. The Spanish go to South America and become, say, Argentinian, but the Jew remains a Jew. In 1948, he formally declared to the wondering world, I'm still here. You see, it's the will of God. Jewish survival is probably the greatest miracle, apart from the resurrection of Jesus, of course. And when we say miracle, we mean it in the true definition of that word. A miracle is an event of an extraordinary kind where God's presence is shown. The presence of Israel in the world today is truly a miracle. When we see a recognizable Jew, we see a miracle. When we read in the news that a country called Israel has done such and such, we're reading a miracle. When we look at a modern map and see the name of Israel, it's a miracle. Between the ancient world and today, all of the nations winked out one by one, except for the Jews. And they have been persecuted more than any other nation. If the Amalekite or Hittite or Moabite was to be taken on a tour of the 21st century, he would search for his own nation in vain and marvel at the presence of the Jews. Coming from a less cynical age, he would probably hold his head and say, it's a miracle. The repeated words in this psalm, if it had not been the Lord, stress the conviction that they would not have survived if it hadn't been for God. They themselves are saying it's a miracle. And miracles will abound in the last days of Israel and the church. It'll be the Lord's doing that we don't become a prey to the world's teeth. The devil goes about like a roaring lion, seeing whom he can devour. Our enemy, the enemy of the church and Israel, is Satan, and he wants to consume us. Now, what happens when something is consumed? Well, it disappears, for one thing. And Israel and the church are not going to be disappearing anytime soon. We have the Lord's word on that. But something else may happen. When something is consumed, the strength and energy within the food is transferred from the food to the eater. He becomes stronger. We need to beware of those who would seek to wear us down with arguments and cross-examination that leads nowhere, the sort of discussions that go on social media and so on. And how about Israel? Well, Israel is constantly being assailed by this subtle and persistent warfare, having to ward off the accusations of the world media, the key word being accusation. Now you know what the name Satan means. It means accuser. And the United Nations are always accusing Israel. So where are those accusations originating from? It's an interesting question. But the psalm prophesies that the soul of Israel will escape like a bird out of the snare of the fowler because of the Lord's help. Satan will just have to go hungry and be starved of his dinner. The end of the psalm should be noted carefully. It says, the Lord who made heaven and earth. Judaism has an unwavering focus on this earth. They're always striving to bring heaven to earth. This is a product of Torah study, which includes their diet, their clothing, how to build a house, and a multitude of other practical matters. Yes, he is the God of heaven, but also of the earth. And this psalm emphasizes that. Abraham was similar. In Genesis 14:22, he said to the king of Sodom, I have lifted up mine hand unto the Lord, the Most High God, the possessor of heaven and earth. And in Genesis 18:25, shall not the judge of all the earth do right? Genesis 24:3, he makes his servants swear by the God of heaven and the God of earth. Heavenly justice applied to this world are deeply ingrained in Judaism. Israel will be miraculously preserved throughout Jacob's trouble because her help is in the name of the Lord who made heaven and earth, and he is the true owner of the earth. One of the reasons that Jews are despised in this world is because they are a reminder to the world that there is a God and the earth is his. It doesn't belong to the nations, it belongs to him. Now, it's easy to say that the world needs love, and this is certainly true, but it also needs justice to hold everything together. The judge of all the earth shall do right when he returns. Sha'alu Shalom Yisrael. Pray for the peace of Israel.